Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, February the 11th. Gonna run through Thursday's 5-game slate. Got a, somewhat of a short slate, but gonna break it down team by team like we always do. I'll give you guys some of my early thoughts, what I see from each team, what stands out to me looking at this slate the night before. But yeah, before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I'd appreciate it if you would hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button as well if you are new here. Be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live. I do plan on live streaming this afternoon. I was not able to stream on Wednesday for Wednesday's slate, but I do plan on going live this afternoon to talk about tonight's slate. So if you're able to tune into the stream, I can answer all your questions there. We can go through everything, go over everything once again. If there's any news that comes out throughout the day Thursday, we can touch on that in the live stream as well. So be sure to tune into that. And also, one more thing, if you want, I do have more additional content on Patreon that you can check out. If that is something that does interest you, you can check out the Patreon link down below in the description. You can get access to my core plays, my cash and GPP sheets, my player pool, my rankings. You can get in our Discord chat as well. All that is available for Patreon members. So if that's something that interests you, if you want to see more that I have to offer, be sure to check out the Patreon link down below in the description. But let's go ahead and start off with this Toronto and Boston game. Take a look at tonight's 5-game slate. So starting off with Toronto, with this Raptors team, I say it basically like all the time. Van Vliet, Siakam, Lowry, all three of these guys are basically, never bad options. Like I'm never gonna, say why, question your lineup if you're playing one of these guys. On a slate like this, though, in a matchup against the Raptors or in a matchup against the Celtics, do these top three Raptors guys really stand out as top plays? I don't really think so. It's still really tough to predict which one of these guys is going to go off on a nightly basis. Like Van Vliet, he's shown, a really high ceiling this year, but he's definitely shown a pretty low floor as well. He's had some really bad games for his price tag. Had 28 DK points on Wednesday night. Siakam, he had 40 DK points, and then Lowry was actually the best of the three. He had 41.5 DK points. I think, once again, if I have to choose one of these three Raptors, I'm going to go with Kyle Lowry just because his price is the most, he's the cheapest of the three, and I think all these guys, kind of project somewhat similarly. So I like Kyle Lowry the most of the top three Raptors. I don't think any of them are going to be like top plays for me, but if I had to choose one, I would go with Lowry. Norman Powell, I don't really like his price. There's a chance OG Anunoby is back for this game. OG was questionable Wednesday, did not play. Could maybe be back for this game. Obviously, if OG plays, that'll move Norman Powell back to the bench, and Norman Powell probably won't be someone I really look to. I know he had a good game Wednesday night in a really good matchup, but obviously this is a tougher spot against Boston, plus the price tag's still up there. Just not that big of a fan of Norman Powell, even if OG's out. I think the guy that probably looks the most appealing, though, from the Raptors is Chris Boucher. So he is still, somewhat affordable on both sites. He's $6K on DK, and then on Yahoo, he's pretty affordable over there as well, coming in at $21 at center. So we saw this stretch of like 3 to 4 games where Chris Boucher was literally getting like no minutes. He was playing 13, 14, 18, 19 minutes in 4 games. We saw his price plummet, like he was, close to 7K. And then he got down to 6,500, 6,100. He eventually got down to 4,900 at one point. And now, just over their last 4 games, it's like the minutes have just come back up for Chris Boucher. 27, 33, 29, 24. On Wednesday's game against the Wizards, he played 24 minutes, had 44 DK points. Like, Boucher is an incredibly productive player when he does get minutes. And if you just look at his game log, you can see that. He's averaged, like 1.2 or 1.3 fantasy points per minute on the season. Obviously, he's not going to play like 35 minutes, but coming off the bench, I think it's possible we get probably 26, 28 minutes from Boucher again. He can easily give you 35, 40 DraftKings points in that time. The minutes are always a question mark with him. Would I be surprised if he goes back to playing 15 minutes? No, but I think if he is playing well in a matchup against Boston where Boston's not that big of a team. They have Daniel Tyson, they have Tristan Thompson, but it's not like those guys are on the floor like all the time. Sometimes we'll see them close with just one of the two on the floor. This could definitely be one of those matchups where Chris Boucher does get a good amount of time. So I do like him at 6K. I think he's honestly my favorite guy to target from the Raptors. And when you factor in price, he's the guy that stands out to me the most. Lowry, I think, is my favorite of the big three, but none of the big three stand out as top plays today. So I think that does it for the Raptors. We can go ahead and move on to the Celtics side. So the Celtics, they're not that appealing of a team for me. Jason Tatum, 8,900. In the matchup against Toronto, he's like kind of just whatever on this slate. Not a good matchup, not a spot where you expect Tatum to have a ton of success. Obviously a big-time game like this on national TV, maybe Tatum will play well. He did have a pretty good game last time the Raptors played, but I don't think Tatum's a top stud for me. I think there's just other guys I'd rather pay for. Kind of the same with Jaylen Brown at 7,700. Brown made his return last game against the Jazz, and he did play really well, had 43 DK points in 37 minutes. I think if I had to choose one of Brown or Tatum, I'd prefer Brown given the savings. I think he could definitely outscore Tatum, and I wouldn't be surprised. Kemba Walker, I don't have that much interest in at his DK price. Daniel Tice at 4,900, probably going to get 28 to 30 minutes. If he was a little bit cheaper, I'd probably have more interest in him. At 4,900, tougher to pay that price tag for Daniel Tice. So, I just don't really like the Celtics, honestly. They're just not a team I have much interest in at all today. Probably just going to be a fade for me. And this game is just not that appealing overall. I think Boucher looks good, but outside of Boucher, there really isn't much that I like in this Toronto-Boston game. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, Miami and Houston. Definitely more appealing here. Starting off on the Miami side, so Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, I think they're both really appealing options. I've said it lately that on slates that they've been on, they're kind of overpriced. They've been too expensive. Just haven't really been guys I wanted to pay up for. But now that we just only have 5 games tonight, it's a shorter slate. I think these two do look very appealing. Bam Adebayo specifically, I think, is my preferred guy to go to. I really like the matchup for him against this Houston team. DeMarcus Cousins just not really good defensively at all. This is definitely a spot where Bam Adebayo should have a ton of success. He is pretty affordable on both sides. On DraftKings, 8,600. That's a reasonable price tag, but his price has come down a little bit on Yahoo. He's down to $37. He's been like $39 to $40, so the price has come down a little bit. Really good matchup. I do have a good amount of interest in Bam Adebayo today. I think him and Vooch right now are probably like my 2 favorite centers to pay up for. Do like Bam. Don't mind Jimmy Butler either. I think I'd probably give the edge to Bam over Butler today, but Jimmy Butler's been playing really well, been contributing in all categories. Has nearly triple-doubled in like 4 straight games. I mean, he's doing like a little bit of everything basically every night. He's giving you at least like 44 DK points in, 7 straight games with at least 44 DK points from Jimmy Butler. Or actually 8 straight games. So 8 straight games with at least 44 DK points from Butler. Been so consistent lately. Getting big minutes in close games. This game should be pretty close, so do have interest in Butler as well. But the secondary pieces like Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, just don't have that much interest in. Really on the Heat today, I think it's Bam and it's Butler, and not too much interest in anyone else outside of those two. But moving on to the Houston side. So Houston, not that appealing of a team on this slate. Now that Victor Oladipo and John Wall are both playing, I don't have a ton of interest in either one at their price tags. Plus, it's not that good of a matchup against Miami. I know Miami hasn't been nearly as good defensively this year, but still, I just don't really like this spot for Oladipo or Wall. If Oladipo was cheaper, I'd maybe have interest in him. But when Wall's healthy, I don't really go out of my way to play Oladipo unless he's like 7K. Obviously, tonight, that's not the case. He's 7,800. John Wall is only 7,100, so he'd probably be the guy I'd prefer to go to between him and Oladipo. He's been seeing his minutes increase. He got up to 34 last game against the Pelicans, and that was also a blowout, and he lost minutes in the blowout. He was on pace to play like 35, 36 minutes, so I think if tonight's game's close, we're going to get John Wall, 35, maybe 36 minutes. I mean, he's back to playing, those big minutes. So I do like John Wall at 7,100. He's the guy I would rather go to over Victor Oladipo. DeMarcus Cousins, I've played him basically every slate, the last 3, and it hasn't really gone well. 35, 27, 20 DK points. He just hasn't looked good out there. He's not playing a ton of minutes either. This is not that good of a spot against Bam Adebayo. I'm sure today I'm going to not play Cousins and he's going to go off, but I just don't think I have that much interest in Cousins. I just haven't liked what I've seen from him lately until he shows that, he can put up a big game. I know the upside's still there, but it's hard to roster him right now. He's not looking like an elite fantasy player like I thought he was going to be. Maybe he's just not used to playing this much. Maybe that bench role is what, he should be playing. Obviously he's coming back from an injury, so with him playing 25, 30 minutes a night, maybe that's took a toll on him. I don't really know, but Cousins just hasn't been good lately. He's hard to trust right now. I think I'm probably going to shy away from him today, look for other guys. Because I do that, he'll probably go off just because that's how it goes. But don't have that much interest in Cousins, and really no one else from the Rockets I like today. So outside of John Wall, just not that a team I can't say this, just not that appealing of a team. Hard to really go to anyone at their price tags. Nobody on this team stands out as a top play, but if I did have to choose someone, I think it would be John Wall. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, the Pacers and the Pistons. So on the Pacers side, on Wednesday's slate, I played both Domantas Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon together, and normally that's not something I ever do, but it was super frustrating. So Wednesday's slate, the Pacers in a great spot against the Nets. They go out and score 30 points in the first half and just look so bad. They were losing by over 30 at halftime. Luckily, they managed to make it somewhat of a close game. Brogdon Sabonis did still lose a few minutes to blowout, but we got 35 minutes from Sabonis. He scored 41 DK points. He shot the ball terribly, 7 for 20 from the field. He was 1 rebound shy of the double-double bonus. I mean, he could have had a way better game. Kind of the same with Malcolm Brogdon. Obviously, Brogdon lost a few minutes in blowout. Because of the blowout, only played 35. Normally, he plays like 36, 38. But he shot the ball terribly, 29% from the field, 37% from 3. Brogdon's definitely been... He's been frustrating to roster lately. We just haven't really seen any big games from him, but the upside is still there. The price tag is starting to come down. I do like Malcolm Brogdon quite a bit, and I do have a lot of interest in Sabonis. Forgot to mention him, but obviously Sabonis is a great play as well. I mean, anytime he's under 9K, Sabonis is going to be someone I look to get exposure to. And against this Pistons team, I don't see anyone on the Pistons slowing him down. So definitely like Sabonis, definitely like Brogdon once again. Don't have too much interest in anyone else, though, on the Pacers outside of those two. Miles Turner, I think, is a fine, tournament option, but I'd rather play Boucher, I think, for a little bit cheaper. Jeremy Lamb, even though he's starting and getting around 30 minutes, I mean, he's just so inconsistent, hard to trust him. It's really just Sabonis and Brogdon for me from the Pacers. So moving on to the Pistons side and looking at the Pistons today. So the Pistons are actually, I think, somewhat of an appealing team on this slate. Jeremy Grant we have at 7,400. I think Jeremy Grant does look pretty appealing. He's just been playing so well lately. He's getting massive minutes. I mean, if this game's close against the Pacers, he's going to play 36 to 38 minutes. We know he's going to get a ton of usage in this offense. I didn't really want to play Jeremy Grant when he was like 8K, 8,500, but now that he's, in this low 7K range, 7,400 today, I think he is definitely appealing. I think he does stand out as a solid option. If you can pay up at small forward, I do have some interest in Jeremy Grant. DeLon Wright, though, is a guy that I like quite a bit on both sides. 6,300 on DK, pretty affordable on Yahoo as well. Price tag still relatively low over there at $21. So basically, since the Derrick Rose trade, DeLon Wright's minutes have been super secure. He's playing a ton of minutes, got 37 last game against Brooklyn, had 43 DK points, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals. DeLon Wright, basically, this is someone that has always been really productive when he does get minutes. He's just never really had this opportunity to play before. He's always been kind of like a bench guy. Like when he was with the Mavs, he would just come off the bench and play like 15, 20 minutes at the most. Well, now that he's on this Pistons team and he's starting and he's getting big minutes on a nightly basis, we're seeing him put up, big games, and it's not surprising because DeLon Wright is a productive player. When he does get minutes, he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Without Derrick Rose no longer on the team, I feel very confident that DeLon Wright continues to get big minutes on a nightly basis. So I actually like him quite a bit at 6,300. That might seem a little bit expensive for DeLon Wright, but if he's playing 36, 37 minutes a night, I mean, he should be close to a 7K player. So definitely think he's still honestly a little bit too cheap. Really do like DeLon Wright on the slate. Don't mind Mason Plumlee either. I think straight up I would prefer Chris Boucher, but Plumlee's been playing really well lately. Last 2 games, 39, 50 DK points. He's a productive player when he does get minutes. He's been inconsistent this year for sure. Foul trouble's kind of been an issue as well, but if he's getting 34, 35 minutes, I mean, Mason Plumlee can definitely pay off a $6,100 salary, so I do have some interest in him. Not much interest in Blake Griffin or Josh Jackson, though. I think Jackson's just too expensive now. Blake Griffin, I rostered him last slate against Brooklyn, and he wasn't terrible for his price tag, but he wasn't really good either. I mean, he just has shown no upside at all. It's really hard to roster Blake Griffin at this point. I think that kind of does it for the Pistons. Really, the guys I like are definitely Jeremy Grant, DeLon Wright, Mason Plumlee. Those are by far the 3 that I do have the most interest in today. I think Wright's probably my favorite, but I do like Jeremy Grant as well. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game, the Magic and the Warriors. So in terms of injuries, this is the big game to watch for injuries, for injury statuses. So right now, Evan Fournier and Cole Anthony are both questionable for the Magic. Cole Anthony got injured last game, was not able to return. And then Evan Fournier, he's been out for the last 2 to 3 games. Obviously, we know that, Aaron Gordon's going to remain out. So just starting off with Nikola Vucevic, I think Vuce once again looks like one of the best pay-up options on the slate. The offense is just going to run through Vucevic at this point with no Aaron Gordon, with potentially no Fournier if Cole Anthony's out as well. I mean, Vuce is just going to dominate the usage. Last game against Portland, he played 41 minutes in regulation, so he's getting massive minutes. Had 21 field goal attempts, took a ton of shots, had 27 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Vuce is just going to go out there and stuff the stat sheet on a nightly basis. This Warriors team, I don't think really has anyone to slow him down. They do have Draymond Green, who's a good defender, but at this point, I think Vuce is just matchup proof. The guy's just going to go out there and produce basically every night. The Warriors are still playing really fast this year. It is a big-time pace-up spot for the Magic, so really, really like Vuce on this slate. I think if I can fit him in, he does look like one of the best center options overall and, one of the better pay-up options on this slate. Cole Anthony and Evan Fournier, though, 2 big question marks. So if they both play, I don't have that much interest in either one, Fournier or Anthony. Maybe Fournier could be viable. He is going to get a ton of usage, right now with no Aaron Gordon. Coming back from injury, though, I guess there's, a little bit of hesitation there. If he's full go, though, and he's not, limited or anything, I mean, Fournier is viable, but I don't feel that confident in him. Cole Anthony as well, assuming he plays and he's not limited, I mean, he'd be viable at 5,400. But really the guy I want to get to from the Magic today is definitely Nikola Vucevic. Now, if Cole Anthony and Evan Fournier are out, that will definitely give us some value. So Dwayne Bacon, he's been starting recently with Evan Fournier out, been getting pretty good minutes, has played 31 minutes their last 2 games in the starting lineup. He's not that productive on a point-per-minute basis, but if he's going to continue to start and play over 30 minutes with no Fournier, Bacon's a decent value at 4,400. Really, the guy that we would want to go to, though, would be Frank Mason. So Frank Mason is 4K. He's going to be probably the best value play on the slate if Cole Anthony winds up out. Last game, after Cole Anthony got injured, Frank Mason played 33 minutes, had 24 DK points. Frank Mason has always been a productive player when he does get minutes, just dating back to his time with, he's been with so many different teams, but basically, whenever he's been on the floor, he's been able to produce. He's been about a fantasy point per minute player. At 4K, I'd assume he starts and plays probably 34, 35 minutes, if not more, in a fast-paced game or in a pace-up spot against the Warriors. I love Frank Mason if Cole Anthony is out. So we're going to have to watch the status of Cole Anthony. Mason becomes a top value if Anthony winds up sitting. But I did skip over somebody. I do want to talk about Terrence Ross. So he's 5,300 on DK. I actually like him quite a bit on this slate. He's cheap on Yahoo as well. Looking at Yahoo's pricing, he's coming in at $13 over there. I think if Cole Anthony winds up out, I'd probably take the savings and play, Frank Mason over Terrence Ross, but honestly, you could play both together. We finally saw Terrence Ross have a decent game last time out against Portland, and I've been saying it that, Terrence Ross wasn't going to keep being as bad as he was being. He was going to eventually have a decent game where he knocks down some shots and puts up 30-plus DK points, and that happened against Portland. He played 31 minutes off the bench, shot 50% from the field, had 31 DK points, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Terrence Ross, he's a frustrating player to roster because he is pretty scoring dependent. If he's not knocking down a ton of shots, he's not really going to do much else. But he should have all the opportunity in the world to just get up as many shots as he wants, especially if Evan Fournier continues to be out. Even if Evan Fournier plays, I think there is still going to be increased usage for Terrence Ross since Aaron Gordon's out. And maybe if Cole Anthony sits, that's a boost for Ross as well. But if we do get a scenario where Cole Anthony and Evan Fournier are both out, then Terrence Ross, Frank Mason, Vooch, I would love on this slate. I think all 3 of those guys would be very strong plays from the Magic today. So this is definitely a team we're going to have to monitor. The statuses of Fournier and Anthony, specifically Cole Anthony, big news to watch on this slate. But moving on to the Warriors side. So I think the Warriors are actually a pretty appealing team as well. Steph Curry at 10,100. Look, I never have a problem paying up for Steph Curry. I think he's always someone you can pay up for. But on this slate, I don't know if I'm going to really be going out of my way to play Steph Curry. I think I'd rather get to Vooch, rather get to some of the other studs we talked about, like Sabonis, Bam Adebayo for cheaper. We're going to talk about Dame and Joel Embiid, who I like as well. This doesn't feel like a slate where I'm going to be going out of my way to play Curry. But Draymond Green, I do like quite a bit. So he is 6,800 on DK, still pretty affordable. On Yahoo, he's pretty affordable over there as well, coming in at $25. So we've seen Draymond Green playing really well lately, basically since he's been moved, to center, since they started starting him at center with James Wiseman and Kevon Looney both out. We've seen the minutes increase for Draymond, and the production has also been up as well. The last 4 games he started, he's put up 42, 50, 40, and 31 DK points, and he's played 29, 37, 36, and 32 minutes. Lost some minutes in the San Antonio game because of blowout. Lost some minutes in the Dallas game because of blowout. It seems like in close games, we're going to get 35, 36 minutes from Draymond. He's stuffing the stat sheet once again. He's putting up, a little bit of everything every night. He's giving you double-digit assists in 4 straight games. I mean, Draymond, he looks like the old Draymond, a guy that's going to be in 7K, 8K player moving forward, at least while he's still starting at center. Maybe when Wiseman or Looney comes back, maybe that'll hurt Draymond a little bit, but I like him a lot. I think the minutes are going to continue to be there. The production should continue to be up while he's starting at center, so definitely think Draymond's my favorite guy to go to from the Warriors. Kelly Oubre always has upside in tournaments, could randomly pop off for those big games. I feel better about Draymond, and I'd rather play Draymond just straight up, but Oubre's fine in tournaments. Don't really like Wiggins, though. Don't have a ton of interest in Toscano Anderson or Eric Pascal. So I think the Warriors, for me, it's definitely Draymond's my favorite guy to target. Curry you can mix in tournaments. Oubre you can mix in tournaments, but I think that kind of does it for the Warriors today. So we can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, the Sixers and the Blazers. So starting off with the Sixers, this is a team that's dealing with a little injuries today, not major injuries, but we did get word that Seth Curry was supposedly doubtful, and then it got changed that he was available to play. So I'm not sure what really happened there. I think maybe it was a mistake, maybe because Shake Milton's doubtful, so maybe it was Milton that was supposed to be doubtful, and then they came out and said it was Curry. But Curry's going to play. At least monitor that, though, given that he was first listed as doubtful. I don't have that much interest in him on this slate, though, even if he does play. Shake Milton is doubtful, though. I don't know how much this really affects, I don't know how much this really changes anything. Like, maybe Tyrese Maxey gets a few more minutes, but do I really want to play Tyrese Maxey on the slate? Like, even if he gets 15, 20 minutes, which is not even, he might not even get that. I don't think that, maybe Court Moss gets a few more minutes without Shake Milton, but really I think on the Sixers, there's no value I want to target here. It's just Joel Embiid for me. Normally when this team is fully healthy, Joel Embiid's the guy I want to target, and I think that's definitely the case on this slate as well. He is pretty expensive. He's $10,800. That is a hefty price tag to pay for Embiid, but it is a great matchup against Portland. Without Yusuf Nurkic, it's going to be, some combination of Enes Kanter and Harry Giles attempting to guard Joel Embiid, and I don't expect either one of those guys to really slow him down. Kanter is not a good defender at all. Embiid did have a massive first half against Portland when they played, a week ago. He had like 40 DK points at halftime, and then he just cooled off and didn't do really anything in the second half. I still think the upside's massive for Embiid. Honestly, straight up, though, I'd rather, take the savings and play like Vooch, Bam, some of these other studs we talked about, even Dame on the other side of this game. But if you can fit in Embiid, he is a very strong pay-up option. Don't have that much interest in Ben Simmons or Tobias Harris, though. I think it's just Embiid for me on the Sixers. Now, moving on to Portland, I think Damian Lillard on both sides looks like a really strong pay-up option. He is too cheap on Draftkings at $9,800, and on Yahoo, he's still pretty expensive there. He's not that affordable, but at $49, he's the same price tag as Embiid. Honestly, I think I'd just rather take Damian Lillard there, even if Embiid's going to be more popular, even if Embiid maybe projects a little bit better. I still would rather have Lillard. I just love to target Lillard whenever there's no CJ McCollum. The offense is going to run through Lillard. He's going to take a ton of shots. Last game, he shot terribly, 40% from the field, 50% from three. Or he didn't shoot terribly, but he didn't have a great shooting game. Still scored 48 Draftkings points, had 36 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Like, Lillard is just the offense is going to run through him. He's going to take 20 to 25 shots. He's going to play 36 to 38 minutes if it's a close game. There's no reason for him to be $9,800. When CJ McCollum is out, Damian Lillard should always be above $10K because he has massive upside with McCollum off the floor. He is definitely one of my favorite pay-up options on the slate. I think him and Vooch are the two guys I like most at the top right now. But, on the other Portland guys we can target, Enes Kanter, I think at $7K is definitely viable on this slate. He's been getting pretty good minutes in the starting lineup with Yusuf Nurkic out. Last time they played Philly, he got 34 minutes. He had 41 DK points. He's always been a productive player when he does get minutes. He's a point-per-minute guy. He can score, he can rebound, he can block shots. You could definitely get 40-plus DK points from Kanter if he's playing, 32, 34 minutes. So at $7K, I do have interest in him at the center position. Don't really like Trent or Covington, though, at their price tags. I think for me on Portland, outside of outside of Kanter and Lillard, so just Lillard and Kanter are the two guys I like most. I don't think there's really anyone else I'm going to go to from the Blazers today. So that basically does it for the Blazers game, and that does it for all 5 games. So we broke everything down team by team, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You never miss out on any of my new videos. You will also get notified every time I do go live. And like I said earlier, I will be live streaming this afternoon, Thursday afternoon. So if you're able to tune in, you want to have any of your questions answered, I can answer all your questions. We can break down the slate once again in the live stream. So be sure to tune into that. Check out the Patreon link down, or check out the Patreon content link down below in the description as well. We do have a lot of additional content over there. If that's something that interests you, you can check that out. But yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you watching the video, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck, guys. Peace.